Welcome back to the Financial Freedom Show with Chase Lawson, where I, Chase Lawson, personal finance fanatic and author of the best-selling book, Financial Freedom, Breaking the Chains to Independence and Creating Massive Wealth, which is available on Amazon, cover a wide range of topics on personal finance. My goal with each episode is to take a particular topic and make it simple for everyone to understand. I try to give both sides to every situation and let you make a well-educated decision based on what you deem best for your own personal financial situation. We've got another great episode on tap for you, so let's dive in. Today I wanted to discuss those promo offers offered by retail stores, banks, and other credit card issuers, mainly the 0% APR introductory offer. On this episode, I will discuss what exactly these offers entail, as well as some key things to look out for with them, especially when that intro period is coming to an end. These offers can get people into a lot of trouble, so it is important you're aware of some of the potential risks and consequences associated with them prior to signing up. Oftentimes, credit card issuers will try to lure in new customers by offering an initial period of 0% APR. This can be quite an attractive offer and is usually offered for a period of 6 to 21 months and can be for new purchases, balance transfers, or both. So essentially, as it sounds, you do not get charged interest over that initial promo period on any purchases or balance transfers on the card. Typically, the better your credit score, the more attractive terms you can get with these cards, such as a higher credit limit and a longer introductory period, as well as even being able to qualify for these offers in the first place. These are pretty appealing as it offers people a way to consolidate debt and have a longer period to pay it off without incurring additional interest charges, or allows for people to build up cash flow by not having to pay for purchases for several months. However, it is important for a cardholder to be aware of when this promotional offer ends, as when the introductory period expires, you will then be charged interest on any remaining balance or future purchases that are not paid in full by the due date at a rate likely to be between 16 and 25%. And make sure you pay attention to the terms of the offer, as many of these offers defer the interest as opposed to waiving the interest. So if you don't pay the full balance off by the time the promo period ends, and if it is deferred interest, you'll be charged interest from the date the transaction occurred on any remaining balance. So if you have kept an $1,000 balance on your card for 12 months and the interest is deferred with an interest rate of 18%, you will be hit with a $180 interest charge if you do not pay it off by the time your intro period expires, which can put you in a tough financial position. And this is why I always advise people to be cautious when it comes to credit cards. They can be great tools if used right, as you can earn rewards like cash back or flight miles, as well as getting a longer period to pay for purchases. However, always make sure you have enough cash reserve in the bank to pay for purchases in full prior to swiping your credit card. As I discuss in my book, the average American has less than $1,000 in savings, but over $5,000 in credit card debt. That's not a winning strategy. This is something that I personally had to overcome from college, and I'll discuss my situation in just a bit, but this can impact anyone at any time. Some other things to keep in mind with these intro offers is that the 0% APR doesn't apply to all transactions. For example, cash advances are usually excluded, and usually these offers will be for either purchases or balance transfers and not necessarily both. For those that do offer both, credit card issuers may charge one promotional period for purchases and a different promotional period for balance transfers. So you may have 6 months for one and 18 for the other, for example. Further, other fees may apply. If you transfer a balance, for example, usually there will be a balance transfer fee, typically about 3% per transfer. Therefore, if you transfer a $10,000 balance, you'll be charged a $300 balance transfer fee for this transfer. After transferring the balance, you may owe no interest for a certain period on that balance, which could outweigh the fee you pay for transferring the balance if you are unable to pay the balance off in time without transferring, but it is important to keep this fee in mind when determining whether or not to transfer the balance. In addition, you are still liable for some payments over this intro period. Despite being charged no interest for a certain amount of time, you still are responsible for paying a minimum payment each month, which can vary by card but it's usually a certain percentage of the outstanding balance of around 2 to 5%, with a minimum floor typically of around $25 to $35. That means if you carry a $1,000 balance and the minimum payment is 2% with a floor of $35, your minimum payment will be $35, since that is more than the 2% would be, which would be $20. However, if your balance was $2,000, your minimum payment would be $40, or 2% of the $2,000 balance, since it's more than the minimum floor. Failure to make the minimum payment on time or within a certain period after the due date could lead to your intro offer being canceled, as well as a potential penalty being levied. This could also happen if you make multiple late payments. And if this does happen, then you will immediately start accruing a high interest rate on the outstanding balance. The biggest issue with these promo offers is the potential negative impact it can have on your credit. If you haven't yet checked out my episode on what is a FICO score, I suggest giving that a listen afterwards. But there are a few implications to be aware of. First off, if you fail to make that minimum payment on time by the due date, your credit score will likely take a huge hit. Since payment history is the largest factor in your credit score, accounting for 35%, failure to make an on-time minimum payment will show up as a missed payment in your payment history, which could have serious negative ramifications and take possibly several years to fully recover from, and will impact your future ability to qualify for other forms of credit. In addition, carrying a large balance on your credit card could also hurt your credit score. Credit utilization is the second largest factor in your credit score at 30%, and this is determined based on the percent of credit limit used on individual cards and across all cards. So if you have a credit limit on your card of $5,000 and you rack up $3,500 in purchases, your credit utilization will be 70% on that card. It is advised to keep your credit utilization rate below 30%, so keep that in mind before you rack up high balances despite the intro offer, as credit utilization above 30% could decrease your credit score. Finally, 10% of your credit score is new credit. So if you open a new credit card, this is considered new credit and will lower the average age of your credit accounts, which will likely lead to a lower credit score, at least for a few months. Finally, there are limits to how much qualifies for these offers. With each new credit card, you will be assigned a credit limit. This is the maximum amount that can be charged on your card. Typically, you can only spend up to that limit, and your balance transfer limit may be lower than your credit limit, as that will often carry its own separate limit. I mentioned how I personally had to overcome my own struggles with credit card debt. I discuss it more in my book, but when I was in grad school, I had total credit card debt of around $23,000, and my credit score had dropped to 521 at its lowest, which is considered a poor score. I had some of these 0% intro offers that I signed up for to help out, as I was responsible for all of my expenses in grad school. A lot of these charges were for school, like books, courses, etc., as well as feeding myself, keeping the lights on in my apartment, and all those essential items. I didn't spend too lavishly, but it can be tough when you're in college and you may not have a steady stream of income coming in. A lot of times credit card providers do prey a bit on college kids, which doesn't help them get off to the best financial start. But like I said, this can impact anybody and everybody. I've always been financially savvy, just got in a tough spot that I had to dig myself out of. However, after 11 months, I did manage to pay off the $23,000 fully. I was aggressive with it and made it happen. And when I finished paying it off, my credit score was back into the 700s, which is considered a good score. Do be aware of some of the issues you may run into with these offers, and make sure you know all the terms and conditions associated with it prior to signing up. The offer letter should give you a lot of these important details, such as how long the intro period is for, what the interest rate is afterwards, if the interest is deferred or waived, and more. You can always call as well and ask these questions, or if you do sign up, when you get your card in the mail, it will include all the terms and conditions, so be sure to review that prior to swiping that card. And if you lose that, your monthly statement should tell you how long the intro period is for, or you can always call and ask them to look up your account and tell you those details. Well, thank you everyone so much for tuning into today's episode of the Financial Freedom Show with Chase Lawson. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something today. You don't have to be an uneducated individual when it comes to finances, so hopefully you are aware of what exactly a 0% APR offer really is, as well as the benefits and potential risks associated with it. If you have any further questions on this topic, please let me know. I don't want there to be any confusion or have you feel lost. Further, please be sure to leave a comment with any thoughts and feedback you have, or if there's any other financial topics I can cover for you. And as always, please be sure to like this episode or leave a review if you got any value out of it. That means the world to me and helps keep me motivated to keep putting out new content. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please be sure to do so and share with your loved ones so that you can all stay up to date with the latest content. Your feedback means the world to me and is super important and helpful, so thank you all for your help and support. Thanks so much, everyone. Until next time, stay safe and go get 'em.